Thank you so much, Viv. And yeah, what an amazing day. And look, here we are at 4:45. Just have a quick look around. Most of you are still here. This is important. You just heard some wonderful statistics from Bill about how overwhelming public support for the kind of agenda that we've been talking about today is. Getting 4 out of 5 Australians to agree with anything is pretty tricky in what's allegedly a very divided country. And that's one of the tricks about democracy. We're supposed to try and find the things we agree on to act on. But there's a tension, there's a trade-off going on in Australia today where the art of politics is to look for the division when the skill of democracy is to find the things that unite us. And the fact that so many of you are still here after a long day, but aren't they fantastic chairs? I love this place. The fact that so many of you are here today, and as Bill just said, that so many Australians support this agenda, this is the kind of thing that can actually remind Australia what democracy is for. These are the kind of issues that can remind Australians that we can, and indeed we do, introduce positive change from time to time. So unfortunately, modern politics has become the art of the wedge, the art of the division, the art of, as Malcolm Turnbull calls it, angertainment. This is real, it can't be ignored. But my pitch to you is that the issues we're talking about today aren't just important in and of themselves. They're an important example of the kind of things that we need our parliament, that we need our democracy to pursue, if only because they unite us. Straight after the devastating result, from my point of view, the devastating democratic result of the referendum last year, we did a survey and we asked people whether or not they supported truth in political advertising laws. Over 90% said yes, because the yes voters thought the no voters were liars. And the no voters thought the yes campaign were liars. And we could focus on that division. And it's an important division. But to be clear, 90% of Australians thought, wouldn't truth in political advertising laws be a good idea? Even people who disagree on specific issues can agree about the need to have better structures in place. There's nothing left or right about transparency. There's nothing left or right about accountability. There's nothing left or right about the idea that the parliament should actually represent the people and be transparent to them. So please, I hope you've got a lot out of today. But as Bill said, today is really just the beginning of this agenda. And there is an election coming up, and it's up to us, literally. It's up to us in part what is going to be on the agenda at the next election. Now, Rex Patrick said before when we sent him the email, he just had to read the heading and he was here in a jiffy. Well, that's fantastic. Rex isn't here, it's a pity, because he needs to know this, because when Rex emails me, I don't reply so quick. Because he's often emailing saying, can you stump up a lot of cash to help me run an FOI case? And I'm proud to say at the Australia Institute, we often say yes. As do other people here, including the Grata Fund. It's expensive work. It's expensive work to pursue these kind of agendas. Bill just referred to the fact the Australia Institute had pushed through legal threats the Tasmanian government to release its State of Environment report, even though the law said it should happen. I was really proud to hear the conversation about AAP before. Maybe it's okay to reveal some transparency, but I spent 6 months, as did a lot of others at the Australia Institute, really working hard to not just raise money to save AAP, but to talk the coalition government, the Morrison government, into stumping up around $15 million to back AAP. Because News Corp had pulled out, yeah, thank you. News Corp had pulled out, and let me make it really clear what was going to happen. AAP was going to go broke. News Corp were going to set up a newswire service. And all the newspapers that News Corp didn't own were going to get their newswire service from guess who? News Corp. And even the National Party MPs could see the danger of that. Again, these are not left-right issues. It was the National Party that really put the most pressure on Scott Morrison to stump up that cash, which to this day continues to fund what we heard as a democratic infrastructure. So I'm really proud that the Australia Institute's been able to help out in some of these campaigns. But the point is, if we're going to get these things, if we're going to get these changes that an overwhelming percentage of the majority want, it's not about what the Australia Institute does, it's not about what you do, it's not about what an individual organisation does, it's what we can actually build enough democratic support for. Because that's actually what democracy responds to, is pressure. It responds to demands. Democracy thrives on high expectations. And if we're just going to sit back and say, oh, some lobbyists paid some money and it's all a bit broken, if our expectations are that low, I promise you we'll achieve nothing. But I don't know about you, I'm inspired by so much of what I've heard today. But what I'm really inspired by is at 5 to 5, you're still sitting here. And so are all these other people interested in these issues, because it's only if we work together that we'll be able to achieve these goals. So thank you so much to you all for coming. Thank you so much to all the other organisations, Human Rights Law Centre, Whistleblower Justice Fund, Alliance for Journalist Freedom, Transparency International Australia. These organisations, again, this is exactly what I'm talking about. It's only when we come together we can do these things. I just want to put one slide up. I promise I love this. We took out this full-page ad a little while ago and asked Bill to make it. You don't have to read it all, but basically we took out a full-page ad when Senate estimates was on, reminding public servants that we're watching them, that we're watching estimates very, very closely. And if you see something, say something. Why don't you give us a call? Why don't you give Kieran a call? Because it actually, the people that are lying, the people that are hiding, are actually quite vulnerable. They're actually quite exposed. That's why they're hanging on so tight to their lack of transparency. They're vulnerable and they're scared and they're powerful and they're fighting hard to hang on to it. But we all know things. And if we share those things, if we push for these things, if we have high expectations, I think we can achieve a lot more. This Parliament has made improvements. We've heard from impressive politicians here today that want to take a more transparent agenda forward. We have to get behind them as individuals, we have to get behind them as parties, we have to give oxygen to the issues. It's literally the only thing that will drive change in a democracy. So thank you all for coming, particularly thanks to my colleague Bill Brown. Loved his speech. Should have put yourself on first on the agenda today, Bill, not last, but Bill's just worked his butt off to make today happen, as have a lot of other people. Thank you all for coming, and remember, you're not alone. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. If you'd like to keep up to date with all our latest research and work, sign up to our newsletter. Delivered every fortnight, it includes behind-the-scenes updates from Richard Dennis, an exclusive cartoon from Judy Horacek, details for our upcoming events and webinars, as well as explainers, graphs, and not to mention the latest cutting-edge research and analysis from the team here on the key issues that are facing Australia. Click the button on your screen to check it out.